So for this lecture 1.1, we'll be discussing the antiderivatives and the indefinite integration. For this lecture, the objectives are: write the general solution of a differential equation and use indefinite integral notation for the antiderivatives. Some of you might ask, why are we dealing with differential equations already? Isn't that in Cal Eng 3? Yes, it's okay. But then I'll show you later on that we basically, when we write dy, for example, all over dx is equal to 5, that's actually an equation already. It's just that we're more used to calling it a derivative, right? Okay, next is to use basic integration rules to find the antiderivatives and find the particular solution of a differential equation. But then I think this one, the last one, we may not reach this today. But for the module, that's part of the objectives. So let's go to the antiderivatives. So to find a function, be careful here, guys. I'll be very particular at the moment for the capital F and the small f. So to find the function, capital F, whose derivative is the small f of x equals 3x squared, you might use your knowledge of derivatives to conclude that, look at this, the capital F, if you have the capital F as x cubed, if I ask you, what is the derivative of this one? You know that the derivative is simply 3x squared. Am I correct? Okay. So I can safely say that they are opposites of each other, or they are the inverses of each other. The function f capital is an antiderivative of the small f. But take note, guys, I use the article an as opposed to the antiderivative. You have a point. I'll show you later on. So let's go to the definition. A function capital F is an antiderivative of the small f on an interval I when the f prime of x is equal to the small f of x for all x's in letter I, or within the interval. Look, I highlighted the terms an and the. Note that capital F is an antiderivative of f rather than the antiderivative of f. And to see why, let's do this. If I ask you for, let's just say this one, f of 1. If I ask you, what is the derivative? What's the f1 of x? Wenzel Arcelias, what's the derivative of x cubed?
3x raised to 2 plus c.
At the moment, we're getting the derivative. So 3x squared. If I ask you, guys, for the derivative of the capital F, so again, the capital F is the function, the small f is the derivative. This one would also give us a 3x squared. And then lastly, for f of 3, the derivative of x cubed plus 97 is also a 3x squared. Okay? And to further clarify this point, let's just say we use this. Let's use number 1. The x cubed graph, for example, is this one. Let's call that function number 1. And then let's use another color. Say this is function number 2 at -5. Say this is -5. That one there. And then for the third one, so let's say at 97, that one. That is graph number 3. Am I correct in saying that the graphs are similar? Yes. So if I am to say that the graphs are similar, am I also correct in saying that they only differ in terms of constants?
Yes po, sir.
So the shapes are entirely the same, except that the constants are different. Tama?
Yes po.
Okay. So let's look back at the definitions. If let's look at the number 1, 2, and 3 for the functions. All of them gave us a derivative, or all of them gave us derivatives which are the same, 3x squared. So if I give you the derivative of 3x squared and I would ask you back, what is the original function? It would be difficult to say na, the function is number 1, the function is number 2, the function. We don't really know which one, yung pinanggalingan. Kasi all of them give us the same derivatives. That's why here in the definition, all of them give derivatives of 3x squared. In fact, for any constant c, the function x cubed plus c is an antiderivative. That's why look, the x cubed is one of the antiderivatives of this. X cubed minus 5 is also another antiderivative, but it's not the particular one I'm looking for. I don't know what. It depends on some conditions given, if there are any. So I can safely say, guys, that this one here is actually what I call the general solution. We always write this as something plus c, or a function plus c. Look at the theorem 4.1. It says in theorem 4.1 that if capital F is an antiderivative of the small f on the interval, then g is an antiderivative of f if and only if it's in this form. So that means the general solution would always be the function plus any constant. Okay? C is that constant. Can you follow, guys? Okay. So using theorem 4.1, look at this. You can represent the entire family of the antiderivatives of a function by adding a constant to a known antiderivative. So for example, look at this. The derivative of x squared with respect to x is 2x. So if I ask you, what is the antiderivative of 2x? Hindi natin alam what particular one. So we can say, there is a family of antiderivatives that represent 2x kapag kinuha natin yung antiderivative. So what will that be? That's going to be x squared plus c, where c, be careful of the definition, guys, is called the constant of integration. Can you follow this? Okay, let's go to the next slide. The family of functions represented by g is the general antiderivative of f. Kasi yung g natin is basically any function that's the antiderivative of this plus any constant. And as I said earlier, here, that is a general solution because we don't really know if it's the plus 97, if it's the negative 5, if it's this. But if I say, look for the antiderivative of 3x squared, and then the graph should pass through negative 5. If I say the graph should pass through negative 5, you know that it's graph of number 2. So the function should be x cubed minus 5. But if I say, look for the antiderivative of 3x squared, and then the graph should pass through the origin. You know that it's simply an x cubed. Can you follow that, guys? Right. A differential equation in x and y is an equation that involves x, y, and the derivative of y. So, for instance, y prime equals 3x and y prime equals x squared plus 1 are examples of differential equations. So some of you might ask, as I said earlier, why are we dealing with differential equations already? It's okay because what we're used to seeing, guys, in your Cal Eng 1 is this is written as dy over dx is equal to 3x. It's an equation. So it's a differential equation. It's just that we're more used to calling it derivatives. So if I were to write it in another form, I can say dy is equal to 3x dx. Oh, yan. This one now is in differential form. So this is a differential equation as well. And then looking back at the standard form for derivatives, dy over dx, the dependent variable and then the independent variables, you can identify them here. The independent variable is the x. The dependent variable is the y. So you're basically differentiating with respect to x here. Okay? That's why in here, a differential equation in x and y is an equation that involves x and y and then the derivatives of y. So the derivatives of y and then some, some form of equation that contains either x or y or combination of both. So for example, in here, I'll ask you, find the general solution of the differential equation dy over dx is 2. So let's try solving. So for example, this one, dy over dx is 2. We're more used to saying, this pala is f of x is 2. As I said, f, the small f is the derivative. If I ask you, what is the antiderivative of that? You're basically solving for this. Isn't it that if I say 2x, the derivative of 2x is actually 2? Am I correct in saying this, guys? So, the general solution is basically f of x plus c, or I can say 2x plus c is your general solution. Am I correct here? Right? Okay. Ayan, to begin, you need to find the function whose derivative is 2. So one such function is 2x. Therefore, 2x is an antiderivative of 2. However, to show that you are representing all the family of solutions, you're saying, let's just say 2x plus c. By the way, this g of x, don't be confused about this. This is simply y is equal to 2x plus c. I just wrote it in terms of g of x, the other one's in terms of f of x. Okay? Similar to what I have shown earlier. So let's look at this. So I'll use the orange. So the constant is 0. I have equation number 1 or graph of number 1. If the constant I'm using is -1, it crosses -1 in here. That's the graph of number 2. So this one would be y is equal to 2x minus 1. The graph of number 1, y is simply 2x because, plus 0, the c is 0. You don't need to write that. And then in here, it crosses c equals 2. This number 3 would take the form of 2x plus 2. Can you follow? All right. So it only shows that all of them, if I ask you, for all three of those graphs, what is the common derivative? The derivative is 2. Very good. All right. So let's try this. Y is equal to x cubed. Let's just write that as your f of x, the small f of x. So if it's the small f of x, we know that this is the derivative. I'm looking for the capital F of x. Okay? What do you think is an antiderivative of x cubed?
X raised to 4 over 4 po. Antiderivative po, right?
Yes. So you're correct. You know for a fact that if I have a function of x raised to 4, you know that the derivative, what's the derivative of x raised to 4? 4x cubed. If the given antiderivative does not contain a 4, so that means I have to have a multiplier of 1/4 in front. Tama? That's one of the antiderivatives. But as I said, in order for us to represent the family of antiderivatives, ano dapat ang meron ako?
Plus C po.
Very good. Plus C. So I can say here that f of x is simply x to the 4 plus 4 plus c. Okay, looking back, tama ba? If f of x is x to the 4 plus 4 plus c, what is the derivative of f of x with respect to x? What is the answer? The answer is, we don't need the 4, so bring it out, and then 4x to the third plus 0, because the derivative of a constant is 0, and then simplifying this gives us an x cubed. So again, the derivative of the capital F is the small f. So we're correct. This should be the answer. This is simply the checking. So when solving a differential equation of the form dy over dx is equal to f of x, it's more convenient, guys, to write it in this manner. This is the differential form. This is the derivative form. The operation of finding all the solutions of this equation is called the anti-differentiation. For the meantime, I'll just call it, generally, it's called integration. So what's this indefinite integration? I'll show this to you later on. And then it is denoted by the integral sign or the integral symbol. I'll show you this later on as we go in the next slides. Can you match the column on the left with the column on the right? So column A and column B. Which one matches with number 1?
1 matches with G po.
Very good. So 1 matches with letter G. Okay, because the derivative of x cubed plus 2x squared plus x is simply 3x squared plus 4x plus 1. Very good. Next, what is matching with number 2? Letter C. Very good. Next, number 3. Letter H. Very good. Sige nga. Very good. Letter A. Next, number 6. Very good. That's letter F. Last, number 8. D. Very good. So there's no problem, guys, because you know, I'm sure you're quite good with your differential calculus already. So that's your Cal-Eng 1. Looking at the given y or the given function, you can get the derivatives. But then, we're past that already. Because in Cal N2, you're getting the antiderivatives naman. Okay, so the general solution, guys, is denoted by this. Please be mindful of the definitions. This one is what you call the integral sign or integral symbol. The f of x in here is called the integrand. The d of x is the variable of integration. So you know that when you're differentiating, when you're integrating it with respect to the variable x. Now, the capital F of x is one of the antiderivatives. That's why it says an antiderivative of the small f. The c, again, is the constant of integration. Now, for example, I write here, y is the integral from a up to b of f of x dx. What you have here, b and a. B is what you call the lower limit, and a is the lower limit, b is the upper limit, or lower and upper bounds. So they are called the limits. But then this one is for definite integrals or definite integration. For the meantime, what we will be dealing with is the indefinite integration. That's why for indefinite integration, you will always have the constant of integration, capital C. But for definite, this one gives you a definite answer, the particular answer. Whereas in this case, it's a general answer because it can be any constant. Can you follow what I'm saying? All right. So let's go to the theorems. Ito, I won't read these to you anymore. The terminologies na lang. Anti-differentiation is the process of finding the antiderivative. We know this. The symbol in here, also called the integral sign, denotes the operation of anti-differentiation. By the way, I'm very particular with the terminology. So, for example, if I ask you, what is the process of getting the derivatives? I don't want to hear derivation. Diba? The process of getting the derivatives is differentiation. The process of getting the integrals is integration or anti-differentiation. So the function small f is called the integrand, yung small function natin that's to be integrated. The capital F is an antiderivative of f, diba? It's one of the answers, plus c. And then you notice that the integral symbol or the integral sign and the variable of integration, dx, always go hand in hand because it tells us what the variable of integration is. And as I have said earlier, this expression is called the general antiderivative or the general solution, whereas it could be a particular solution if you are given certain conditions that would tell us which one would be the final answer, just like what I have said in here. If it crosses 0, this is the particular solution. If it crosses -1, this is the particular solution. Because the one given on top is just a general solution. Can you follow? All right. Okay. Let's go to number 1 first. Can you try giving me the answer for letter A? In exercise number 1. What is the capital f of
That's right.
x?
X raised to 6 minus
Yes, x raised to 6
over 5
minus x raised to 5 over 5. So minus 1/5 x raised to 5. And then yep, very good. That's correct. So guys, look at this. Mas mahirap kasi to get the antiderivative as opposed to getting the derivatives. So in here, let's look back. X to the 6, the derivative of this is 6x to the 5. Tama. Some of you might ask, bakit nagkaroon ng 1/5 dito? Kasi look, the derivative of x to the 5 is 4x to the 4. Ay, 5x to the 4, right? And there's no 5 in front of the x to the 4. That means we need to have a 1/5 in front. And then, the derivative of x cubed is 3x squared. Eh, bakit may 2 dito? Wala yung 3. Eh, di itanggal natin yung 3, mag-supply tayo ng 2. And so on. Okay? So this is correct. Now, can you answer letter A of number 2? Let's start with letter A muna.
Letter A po is matching with letter B sa column B po.
Very good. So, it matches with B. Diba? Mas mahirap na siya kasi you're given the small function, you're getting the antiderivative. As opposed to the earlier matching type, you're given the function, just get the derivative of that. Ngayon, baliktad. You're getting the antiderivatives na. Very good. Next, it's letter E. Because of that 2, be careful of that. Sa ilalim wala yung 2, it's -1. Okay? Next is
C po ba, sir?
very good. That's letter C. So if it's in this form, guys, what you do is you combine them first because it's difficult to integrate if it has like, an operation. So it becomes a 4x minus x squared first and then integrate. Very good. Thank you. Next. Let's go to the basic integration rules. Ito, going back, I keep on repeating this, so I don't want you to get mistakes in here. The inverse nature of integration and differentiation can be verified by substituting the f prime of x for f of x. That's why here, sometimes I just write this. Sometimes it can be this. Pero what's important is that, look at this. Integration is the inverse of differentiation. You can see it in here. And differentiation is the inverse of integration. So, the integral sign of that, it sorts of like cancel out. Okay. I want you to, there's something missing in here. So I just want you to take a screenshot of this. Hang on. Okay, you may take a screenshot of this, please. Okay, I'll discuss. So these are some of the basic formulas for integration. On the left side, you can see your Cal-Eng 1 or your differential calculus formulas. The derivative of any constant is 0. The derivative of kx, where k is a constant, you bring it out, and then basically, the derivative of x with respect to x is 1. Kaya dito, k na lang matitira. The derivative of k multiplied to a function of x, just bring out the k and then get the derivative. The derivative of a sum or difference of two functions, what you can do here is get the individual derivatives of them. So basically the sum or the difference of their individual derivatives. Lastly, for a power in here, bring down the power and it becomes a multiplier, constant multiplier, and then the power becomes lower by 1 degree. Can you follow? Okay. For the integration, the integral of 0 is a constant. So some of you might say, sir, but nagkaroon ng constant, it was 0. Yes, it's okay. 0 is also a constant, right? The integral of a constant that's non-zero, constant with respect to x is kx plus c. But take note, before this one, I wrote something. The integral of the differential of x is simply x plus c. So, medyo similar tong dalawang to. The integral of k times f of x dx is bring out the k and then just write that as the integral of f of x dx. Next, if you have a sum or difference and then you're integrating them, you can basically get the individual integrals and then sum or, add or subtract them. What I like you to focus on is the last one. For the power rule, x raised to n dx for the integral of this one, it's x raised to n plus 1 all over n plus 1 plus c. But you are given that n should not be equal to -1. Why do you think is that n is not equal to -1? Very good. Because if n is equal to -1, the denominator becomes 0. If the denominator is 0, the term becomes undefined. Very good. Okay, I want you to also take a screenshot of this one. You'll notice that for your Cal-Eng 1, as what have been mentioned by your professors before, maybe, the derivatives of the basic trigonometric functions that start with letter C, ito cosine, cotangent, and cosecant, the answers are negative. I highlighted the answers and the signs. Whereas in the integration, whenever the answer starts with letter C, look at the answers, they start with C, they are the negatives. So the integral of cosine of x is a positive sign, but the integral of sine is negative cosine. Okay? So please know how to use them properly. Okay. Let's try integrating. So the integral of 3x dx is equal to 3 integral of x dx. It's a constant multiplier, right? So in this case, I'll just write here x to the n. What's the n in here, guys? Very good. It's 1. So if n is equal to 1, the instruction is that n cannot be -1. Since it's not -1, we're okay. We're good to go. So copy the 3, and then let's apply the power rule. N, x to the 1 plus 1 over 1 plus 1 plus c, or 3 x squared over 2 plus c, or simply 3/2 x squared plus c is your given function. I hope this is clear. Yeah, the antiderivatives of 3x are in the form of 3/2 x squared plus c, where c is any constant. So all the time, guys, you need to write plus c. In the exam, if, for example, you forgot to write the plus c, I've been mentioning it all throughout that I need to see the plus c, automatically there's -1. So if the item is worth 10 points, still, you won't get perfect because of the plus c. So a tip, one of the most common mistakes or, students encounters this. The integral of a product of two functions, it's not equal to the integral of the first multiplied to the integral of the second. You can't do this. What you have to do is do the operation first and then integrate. Okay? Similarly, if you have a quotient, you can't just, get the integral of the top divided by the integral of the bottom. No. Do the division first, and then that's when you integrate. Can you follow? All right. Next. Okay, so let's try solving number 1. So the integral of 3 dx, as I said, we don't need the 3. The integral of dx is what, guys? This gives us
3x plus c po.
very good. Don't forget the plus c. Number 2. X to the 6 dx. So here, applying the power rule, guys. Applying the power rule, what do? Yep. So basically,
Plus
1/7 x to the 7 plus c. Very good. Number 3. In number 3, guys, sometimes it may be better if you write it like this. Because it's not easy to look at if it's underneath. So we might as well write it like this. Because what's the restriction of n? If you recall, n can be any number except, very good, except -1. So what would be the answer for this one? Let's see. Diba x raised to -6 plus 1, tama ba? Over -6 plus 1 plus c. So that's x raised to -5 over 5, tama ka. But you forgot the negative. Plus c. So when you rewrite this, I can say -1 over 5 x to the 5 plus c. That's your f of x. Number 4. So guys, I would rather have the term or the, variable underneath. I don't like to see negative exponents as a final answer. So in this case, number 4, integral of 4 square root of u du. Maybe we can move out the 4. We don't need that. The square root of u, we can write that as u to the 1/2 du, because there's no rule stating that we cannot have any fractional exponents. For the powers, we can have any power so long as it's not -1. Okay? So, can you give me the answer for this? 8u raised to 3/2 over 3. Tama. How did he come up with that, guys? It's basically this. We don't need the 4. Bring it out. This one, u to the 1/2 plus 1, isn't that 3/2? Tama ba? Over 3/2 plus c. The problem is, it looks ugly having a 3/2 underneath. So maybe we bring that on top. That becomes, sorry, it doesn't write. I'll erase it. It becomes 8/3 u to the 3/2 plus c. But the problem is, if it's just this easy, maybe you can just rewrite that as 8/3 u root of u plus c. Can you follow? I'm not saying that the answer on top is wrong. It's just that, it's quite simple. Might as well have it, expressed better. Number 5.
4x cubed plus x squared plus c.
4x cubed plus x squared plus
Plus
c. This is correct. So how did he come up with this, guys? It's basically 12 and then x to the third over 3 plus, you don't need the 2, so bring it out, and then x squared over 2 plus c, right? And then 12 divided by 3 becomes 4. 2 divided by 2 cancels out. So that's correct. Number 6.
3 cube over 3 minus 60 raised to 5 over 2 over 5 plus c.
Very good. That's correct. So how did he come up with that, guys? Look at number 6. It looks ugly. Bakit? There are 2 terms being multiplied. So might as well, the first step would be make it in this form. 2t squared minus, this is t to the 3 over 2 dt. And then, upon integration, this becomes 2 t cubed over 3. You don't need the 3, bring it out. T to the 3 halves plus 1 is 5 halves. And then, this is also 5 halves, and then plus c. So here, it's simply 2/3 t cubed minus this one becomes 6 over 5 t to the 5 halves plus c. If there's no rule, guys, stating that you should simplify this or express this like, in simpler terms, it's okay. You can have this. But if not, if there is an instruction, this one would then be t squared square root of t plus c, right? Okay. But it's okay for the meantime. Sige, number 7. For number 7, guys, as I said, diba, just like one of the rules here, you can't just apply the integral. You can't just apply. So what you do here is simplify them. That becomes 1 over x squared dx. Sige, answer number 7, please. Sige, the integral of 1. Sige, let's rewrite that first. You know that the integral of 1 is simply x. No problem with that. So, what's the integral of this one? The power is -2, right? Yes, I received some correct answers already in the chat. So, this one is x to the -2 plus 1 over -2 plus 1 plus c x. So, this is plus x to the -1 over -1 plus c, or simply x minus 1 over x plus c. Be careful with the answers, okay? Are there any questions on how I got this answer? Do you understand? Okay.